Going to go ahead and call our Board of Selectmen meeting for June 17th to order. It's 5:30 p.m. Our regular meeting is going to start at 6, so this is just a public hearing. The only announcement I'm going to make for this part of the meeting is this meeting is being recorded by the local scene. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Not seeing anybody. All right, I'm going to skip open forum because the public hearing, people can talk, so there's no point for for open forum here. So what I'm going to do, we had presented at town meeting a proposal to establish a Department of Public Works. We got some feedback from folks there that we didn't have enough meetings, that there wasn't enough information being that had been shared or presented. So what we wanted to do is to schedule some meetings over the summer and in the fall. Basically just informational meetings, getting feedback from everybody, anybody who has any feedback. We want to hear what everybody thinks, what questions people have, what things we need to figure out. We have some things that we are working on that we're not done with, but we can address that in a bit. What I'm going to do is just quickly, I'm going to go through the introduction and the slideshow that I presented at town meeting. I'm going to be pretty quick because I want to turn it over to anybody in the public who has any questions or any feedback. So we're here to present a proposal that reflects careful thought, collaboration, and forward-looking approach to how we manage our public infrastructure. A proposal to establish a Department of Public Works, or DPW, in our town. This idea isn't just about organizational change. It's about improving how we serve our residents, how we respond to emergencies, maintain our roads, manage our water and sewer systems, and plan for future growth. Our goals are not to eliminate the water or sewer commissions, and in fact, we're recommending that we leave the commissions intact. We understand change can bring questions, and that's a good thing. Our goal today is to walk through why we believe this is the right next step for Kingston, what it would look like, and how it benefits the entire community. We're here to answer your questions and earn your support. All right, so if you want to, so why revisit the, so the timing is right. With the retirement of Paul Basler, I think I saw Mr. Basler here. Yeah, there he is. It's been a few months. With the retirement of Paul Basler, our longtime streets, trees, and parks superintendent.
Before the Selectmen's meeting, they're having a public hearing about the...
Your mic is on, whoever's speaking right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not just to fill a vacancy, but also to evaluate how we can do things better. So we brought together a diverse working group, including selectmen, town administrator, fire chief, water and sewer commissioners, and even Paul Basler himself. All bringing valuable insight into how our departments operate today. Next slide. All right, so our current structure and what our issues are. Currently, our highway, streets, trees, parks, water, and sewer department operate independently. There's limited coordination required between them, and you can see in the slide we have the Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator, then the Superintendent of Street, Trees, and Parks, Sewer Commission with the Sewer Superintendent and their staff, the Water Commission with their Superintendent and their staff. And there's no lines in between. Do you want to go to the next slide? So it has led to real-world issues with project delays, communication breakdowns, as you can imagine, where you don't have any lines crossing those groups, some duplication of effort. It's not the fault of our hard-working teams. It's just a structure. So we're not set up for success. We really have a structure that's holding us back. Next slide. All right. So can you hit one more? Go forward one more. All right. So Department of Public Works is a consolidated model where critical infrastructure services like roads, water, sewer, and facilities are managed under a single umbrella led by a DPW director. This model is used in many towns across Massachusetts and helps align operations, reduce redundancy, and improve responsiveness. All right, next. Actually, I think we're missing the benefits of a DPW. Maybe go back a couple. It might be in the wrong order. I'm sorry. Back one more. There we go. All right, so by unifying departments, we gain faster project coordination, stronger accountability, cross-trained staff for emergency response, better use of taxpayer dollars. But it's not just about cutting costs, it's about doing smarter, more agile work with the resources we already have. And then, actually, just go ahead one more, forward. There, just leave it there for a sec. So, the new structure, this is how it would look. Public Works Director overseeing the daily operations of the highway, water, and sewer departments. So the existing teams would remain, and you can see them in all the different groups. So along the bottom left, we have the water department, we have the sewer department in the bottom middle, and then we have the highway and transfer station. We also have facilities up to the top right. So again, the existing teams would remain with some improved leadership, centralized leadership and coordination. The water and sewer commissioners would continue to oversee policy, rate setting, and capital planning. And this creates more clarity of roles and a more cohesive team. Can you go forward one? So just some real-world examples. There are many other towns similar to Kingston that have successfully transitioned to a DPW model. You know, as towns get bigger, Kingston's not a small town anymore. We're becoming a fairly decent size. We have a very large budget. Our budgets are a lot bigger than they used to be. It's a lot more complicated. There's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of road work going on. All right, next slide. So what won't change? What's important is what won't change. Water and sewer commissioners remain elected and continue making critical policy and financial decisions. Public accountability is preserved. What changes is who handles the day-to-day. So giving our elected officials more time to focus on long-term planning and oversight, but having more of a centralized operational oversight on a day-to-day basis is really what we're looking for. Go ahead and hit the next one. So next steps, we presented the article at town meeting. It failed by 10 votes. We didn't recruit, it didn't pass, so we didn't recruit and hire a DPW director. So a lot of this is really for town meeting. But so where we are today, we want to work with the community to see if anybody has any questions or concerns, try to address those concerns. Where we need to pivot, if we need to make changes to what our approach is. So, yeah, I don't want to monopolize too much time. We have about 22 minutes left before our regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sure you guys do, but is there anybody who has something to say or question? Yeah, go ahead.
Adam Sherman, 215 Main Street. After looking at this, concerns or questions, and I just don't understand how it would work. The Public Works Director is saying it's going to oversee everything. In other words, if one department has a project and needs some extra help, he can pull from, you know, water to streets.
To an extent, yes.
Does he make the decisions on hiring, promotions, terminations?
It is a good question. Keith, can you correct me if I'm wrong? When we met in our working group, the way that it would work is just like every other hiring that happens. The DPW water department, let's say water department is looking to hire another worker on their staff. So they would do the recruiting along with the DPW director. And again, this has to be formalized. Nothing's formalized yet. So this is still all up in the air. But a DPW director would work with the superintendent to recruit. The water commissioners could make a recommendation. The DPW director would be the one making a recommendation, and then we would appoint as a Board of Selectmen.
Which is what we do now.
It is.
That's how it
Right.
works now. Yes.
Okay. Would there be any union issues involved?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So it would be, and Kim just pointed out, there would be job descriptions and whatnot for the work that the folks in the union are actually doing. So there would be.
Okay.
Anytime a job description is going to change, if it relates to any kind of union work, it needs to be negotiated and bargained, correct?
Right.
If we were going to change job descriptions, like
Yeah,
to
so-
trade services,
I don't think there's going to be any real changes to job descriptions. There may be some discussion and changes in the actual collective bargaining agreement. For example, there are times now where if there's a need during a winter storm or some sort of emergency, some of the departments don't have to report to assist Public Works or Streets, Trees, and Parks. If there was an emergency, one of the things that I think we would look to try to change in the collective bargaining agreement is the Public Works Director could reach out and utilize all of the employees that fall under the umbrella of Public Works Department to plow snow, to deal with some sort of a natural disaster, things of that nature, that they don't necessarily have to report to work now for.
So in the proposed scenario, the water and sewer superintendents report to the director as opposed to the commissioners. Also, you say, the slide said that the commissioners will be in charge of setting policy for the areas. So in effect, does the director get his direction from the commissioners?
So right now.
Who's
if
in
Keith-
charge?
If Keith goes and asks the water superintendent or the sewer superintendent to do something, they don't report to Keith, they report to their commissioners, they need to talk to the commissioners. By law, they're supposed to post for a meeting, have a meeting, discuss it, and then give the direction to the superintendent. So that's how it works. What we're trying to do is the day-to-day operations, we're trying to make that more effective and not require a meeting being posted and a decision being made to have direction.
and it would be very similar to the elected planning board and the elected recreation commissioners, who have policy-making elected boards, but administratively report to the town administrator.
Yeah, and you say that the commissioners will work, you work collaboratively with the DPW director. Again, what does that mean? Who's in charge? It seems pretty vague and areas of possible contention.
Yeah.
Clear that up.
Say that again?
We can clear that up. So
Yeah.
because we already have seen it successfully work, for example, again, in the planning board and the recreation commission, I think we could provide more clarity to how it would work in the highway and water and sewer commissions as well.
Right, and other towns. We need to get more information on how that works with other towns, because a lot of towns have already done this.
I think there's a lot of work to be done.
What's that?
I think you've got a lot of work to do to iron things out. I don't know, it seems to me that making some modifications and implementing some efficiencies in what you're doing now might accomplish most of the goals.
So the problem is, again, so let's say you're the CEO of IBM, and you want your president to have the HR department, the marketing department do something, but they don't work for you. They report to a separate board. You have HR over here and marketing reporting to two different boards. They don't report to you making the decisions. So those decisions can't be made. So you may have responsibility, but you don't have authority. The problem here is we don't officially have a line of authority. So Keith can ask water department and sewer department to do something. And we have people who are confused. They call town hall with water questions. It's like they have nothing to do, we have nothing to do with them. We don't oversee them. So you can say we can negotiate better, but that's not a formal definition. If you look at any company, the first thing any successful company has is a hierarchy of responsibility and authority. And we just have silos. And the silos have caused problems. You may not have seen it, but we have. So that's the problem. Can things be improved? Sure, but they don't have to. That's the problem. There's nothing enforcing cooperation, nothing. And if it doesn't cooperate, the next election, you can deal with it. But we have projects that are ongoing now. We have road projects, we have water projects, we have sewer projects. We have 3 different organizations doing road work. 3 different contracts. That's insanity. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we're a
I
little
hear you.
town, and we have 3 different organizations in our town that can do road work. And there doesn't have to be any cooperation between those departments. I don't mean to be annoyed with you. I'm sorry, I'm just taking out my
Very passionate.
frustration. I am very passionate.
No,
So-
I hear what you're saying, and I recognize the autonomy of a couple of departments. But it would seem to me that there should be a mechanism other than setting up a whole other department
It's
to
not a
get the
whole
town
other,
to work
well-
well together.
right.
Well, I would be open to other solutions as well. So, I
Yeah.
mean, this board believes that the DPW is the right solution for Kingston. I would love to hear what people think we could do instead that would work better than what we're doing now.
And so effectively, you're changing the job description and the role of the elected commissioners.
They would not have daily oversight over
So
the
you're changing the
superintendents.
role and the
Yeah, this is why-
responsibilities of
yes.
elected officials.
Correct.
So keep in mind, though, that we have water commissioners and sewer commissioners who've been in place forever. We can't get people to run for these positions. Bob Erlinson has run for water commission. He's new. He's doing a great job, you know.
New-ish.
Right, new-ish. But the point is, we have people who've been on the water commission for decades. They're not going to be there forever. And there's nobody here interested in running water. And we keep hearing water is our most important asset. It is. It really is. So to have 3 people who are elected, they're not full-time people, to be the experts with a water superintendent, for sure, but without, it just seems like we're too big of a town to leave it to chance like that, with 3 elected people where we just can't get people elected anymore.
Okay, I
But
just
Eric,
wanted to
to add to what. I
confirm
think-
in my mind that you're effectively doing away with the commission.
No.
So what I
Absolutely
think,
not.
I just want to make sure there's clarity here. So this current proposal, which if you want to do that, that's a different initiative and that looks like a different structure entirely. So if that's something the community wants to do, that's a different discussion. We can certainly have that discussion if that's what you guys want to propose, but that's not what we're proposing. The
Not at
only
all.
change in the responsibility, as I understand it, from the water commissioners and the sewer commissioners is not having the day-to-day oversight of the superintendent. That's it. Everything else remains the same.
Thank you.
Bob?
Correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, that's just my
No,
understanding. Okay.
Bob Erlandson, Chairman of the Water Commission. A couple questions as well, kind of hypotheticals on the same vein there. The Water Commissioners hire our superintendent with the directive to do what's best for the potable water supply in Kingston. That is how we expect him to make his decisions. So if there's a DPW person who is giving him a direction that it goes counter to his expertise and our direction, who gives?
I guess, what is it, if it's something, they're giving him something that's against the law or something?
He wants to pull staff to do something else, but we have things we need to do, we have leaks, we have things that have to occur at regular basis, maintenance, things that have to happen, and he says, this is something that I need my people for, and the DPW director disagrees. I mean, who gives?
How do we handle that now, I guess, with the planning board, for an example? Do they have a policy-making
Planning board,
board
I mean,
and a planner? So I'm just curious how it's handled now.
Sure. So, I mean, ultimately, the day-to-day operations would be the responsibility of the Public Works Director, and he could assign that work. I think one of the things that was raised at town meeting, and you're raising it again here tonight, Bob, is the operations that go on in currently the streets, trees, and parks, the water department, and the sewer department really isn't gonna change on a day-to-day basis. You've got licensed employees in water and in sewer whose main role is going to be to work on water and sewer department-related maintenance issues, infrastructure improvements, whatever that happens to be. That's not going to change. The Public Works Director is going to have to work with both the Board of Selectmen ultimately and the Water and Sewer Commissions to identify and put in play what those commissions are looking to do on a long-term basis. What he's able to do, I think, that he doesn't have the ability to do now is try to organize, for example, making improvements to the sewer department, to some sewer line. Typically, we aren't aware, the town of Kingston and the Streets, Trees, and Parks Superintendent isn't aware that the sewer department is going to be making some sort of an improvement. So we don't have the ability to react and respond and try to make some improvements along with the wastewater department. This setup would allow for proper planning to disturb the roads less often than is happening now. So is the Public Works Director going to pull a water and sewer employee away from an important task in the water and sewer department to fix a drainage problem? I would argue no. That he understands, or they will understand, excuse me, the importance and the role and the positions that are budgeted for in water and sewer for, 99% of the time are going to continue to do the same things they're doing today. But when a situation occurs where we need to pull everybody we possibly can to address some sort of an emergency situation, we want to be able to do that. Right now, we can't. We can't fill plow trucks. We haven't got the ability to respond to natural disasters the way we'd like to be able to do that. And I think we understand that certainly just because the water and sewer employees are going to have the ability to respond to down trees in a street, if there's a water or sewer issue, that's where those employees are going to go. But if there is no issue with water and sewer infrastructure in the case I'm using right now, we have the ability to pull those resources to address the situation that's facing the community in a much better way than we have right now.
And I hear the 99% rule, but obviously it's the 1% that really kind of is why
And
we're discussing all this.
I would argue the 1% is right now, we are spending more time and more money, and we're much more inefficient than we could be, that 1%.
But with a DPW director who has the power to reallocate resources during the 1% times, we have equipment that is critical to the maintenance of our facilities. We can't just yank a truck and put a plow on it, and if all of a sudden that truck is now damaged, now we don't have a certain truck that we can use that we need to have this. That's why we have a superintendent.
argue
That
you
is
would
why
be
we have a
upset.
superintendent
Right.
to make these decisions, because his sole focus is on the welfare of the water system. That's why it's an enterprise account. It's separate from, it's not planning commission, it's not town rec. It's not, those are not critical to the infrastructure of this town. And so to have that independence to be able to make those decisions is why I think this is a little short-sighted. If there is a plan that's going forward, it can't just be this vague plan to hire DPW and figure things out. We need to know exactly the hierarchy, who's in charge of what, at what point in time does push come to shove. These are things that have to be figured out. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do in the meantime in terms of encouraging communication between things. We have been very clear with our superintendent. We expect him to cooperate with the town every single time they ask, because we're a town and we are there for each other. And he has done that. We want to continue that, but this is something that I feel is going to be a little bit divisive to some of the commissions when all of a sudden people are trying to reallocate resources that we don't approve of. I think in the long run, I think a lot of it can be resolved by more communication, by getting the Water and Sewer Commission together. I know Brian Donahue, I don't know if he's here at all anywhere. We're going to be meeting to discuss some of the ways we can be a little more efficient, maybe even possibly combining the commissions to make this a little bit more efficient that way. There's lots of things we can do, and then we're committed to doing those. I think right now, I would strongly encourage people to look at this a little more critically and wait to see what the final output is. Because right now, again, it's still too much of a work in progress.
This is just our first meeting. We're going to have several meetings over the next few months. So if you know of other towns that have done this and then it was a disaster, like what you're pointing out, let me know what towns, because we can reach out to those towns and find out what happened, why it fell apart, what the downsides were, I guess.
But I'd love to see the final, fleshed out a lot more detail before it comes before town meeting again. So, thank you.
Thank you.
How's it going? My name is Matt Swicky. I live at Cedar Lane down Rocky Nook. So I've been in public works my entire career, actually started my career in Kingston. 10 years ago, I would have said DPW is a bad idea. I think times are changing, as Mr. Crone said. I think the town's growing. But I do think this is kind of fitting a square peg in a round hole. I am a public works director in a neighboring community. I think that there's some changes that have to happen. I think there's some structure that needs to be different. I think the town should look at possible milestones in this and possibly creating a public works board and slowly combining the water, sewer, and select boards. From what the water commission and the sewer commission have a lot of experience and knowledge, and they understand how those utilities work. But what you're asking this director to do is work with 4 different groups of people: the select board, the town administrator, the water commissioners. I think you just need to slowly combine those with those knowledge bases. There were also some other things I noticed. If you don't create an operations manager position in the highway department, you're starting that position off with a weakness right off the bat, because they're not going to be able to handle, if you're adding all this workload, these personnel problems, these union issues, they're not going to be able to manage the highway department the way Mr. Basler was, because their jobs will be taken elsewhere. I don't think that you need to add positions, I don't know, but you need to consider some promotional opportunities within that department. I know there's a lot of people here that I know that probably can't believe I'm saying this, but just in things that I've seen, I think that it is probably the right thing for the town to do. And there are people that would become water commissioners, so if you don't do it, if anyone decides to retire, that's still something I'd be willing to go back to. I've been there in the past. But that's all I had.
All right, yeah, thank you for your perspective. That's Marcia, right? Yeah. I don't know.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Meekins. I live at 141 Lake Street, and I'm a newcomer to Kingston. And I'm not a hard no on this. I'm prepared to be persuaded as a taxpayer, but I'd like to ask the board to do a little bit more due diligence on this. And I'd like to hear some numbers to support the claims that the current failures of communications that occur from time to time between the highway department and other departments, that they've cost the town a lot of money. I'd like to know exactly how much money it's cost. I'd like to know the frequency of that, how often has the public safety or welfare been jeopardized by these incidences of failed communications. I understand that, in a natural disaster or, an unexpected storm with trees down everywhere, that it's maybe hard to marshal the resources necessary to respond to meet the needs of everyone in the town. But I can't believe that the people in the water department or even the wastewater department wouldn't be ready, willing, and able to pitch in and serve. I see you're shaking your head, Keith. If there are instances where that has actually happened, please don't answer me now.
Oh, I
I'm just trying to
apologize.
get out all of my questions so that when you come back the next time, we'll have some real data to work with. I did a little deep dive, not a deep dive, a little Google search, and of the towns I found 11 towns on the South Shore that are classified as South Shore towns. And of those 11 towns, 6 of them have a public works department, and 5 of them don't. And, the 6 that have them have roads seem to be a big issue here that I've talked about or I've heard. The lack of coordination between wastewater projects and, maybe the town election. I've heard that was a poor plan. But we only have 80 miles of roads in Kingston, 80 miles. compared to places like Plymouth that have 226 miles, they have a public works department. Or Hingham, 111, Duxbury, 103. All of those towns, they do have public works departments. They are not all part of a regional school district, however, which really complicates the financial picture for our town. And I would like you to try to tease that out in terms of your argument that it is going to be a cost savings measure. I guess my final point would be, have you interfaced with any of the towns in the South Shore, any of these 6 that have one and 5 that don't, and talked to them about why they choose to not embrace this? It's really a modern day concept. I agree with you. I'm not against it, but I think to sell this town, you need a little bit more data, and I'd love to hear what the results of that. My final question that nobody's answered is, who's going to be in charge of the enterprise funds? I take it that that responsibility will rest with the water commissioners and the sewer commissioners. And it's my understanding that, from what I've heard tonight, that there's no question regarding the stewardship of the water commissioners or the sewer commissioners. There's no question regarding their stewardship, respecting those enterprise funds and how they handle that or anything. It sounds like the issue is one of communication.
And from the beginning, we've
And
said
maybe-
this is an operational, day-to-day issue.
Okay,
100%.
Communications that affect your operations, but it's still a communication issue. And I'm really not, I think the harder sell for me is going to be, I'm not a fan of this centralized managerial approach that your slideshow would bring us to.
What do you see as a better solution?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just barely.
But do you think each department doesn't need to report to any part of the town, like the daily operations stuff?
No, of course, I support communication, transparency, but I think this is a rather drastic response to what is a lack of communication, a lack of operational cooperation. I've heard, I think the water commissioner spoke beforehand, they're open to coming up with maybe just a policy, an operational policy regarding the maintenance and protection of town infrastructure. Roads, it's really our roads, because the high school and the middle school are not going to be part of this. And maybe the Kingston middle school and elementary school will be part of this in terms of the custodial staff. Are they going to be?
No, no.
So there's no cost
Schools are
savings
separate.
there. So we're not going to save any money maintaining our schools. So again, just looking for numbers, data, that kind of thing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Christopher Acker, 52 Evergreen Street. You state that there's no communication, the departments don't work together. It'd be great to see those examples
I can give you some.
projected.
do you mean
have
projected?
a Mass DOT Highway Department, the Water Department conducted their project on Main Street, and there's zero communication between Mass DOT and the town on digging up the work that was just completed and final paved. There was no communication from DOT, so there's a breakdown right there to demonstrate. But it'd be great to see them expectations. I mean, I know that the water department and the sewer department has assisted the highway department many times in snowstorms, storm cleanup, other things. And another great thing would be to do is have the Board of Selectmen or have your DPW committee meet with the superintendents, get feedback from them. Has that happened?
You're a superintendent.
That's why I'm asking. I never got off an opportunity to speak or comment or feedback or anything in regards to this. So, excuse me, I think that's just kind of a professional courtesy should be extended to those department heads.
We said at our last meeting that we were open to meeting with any staff. And we could do it in person.
Sure.
In an open meeting, or we can do it
Well, you had the
Privately.
working group too, which the,
We
I mean,
did.
Water
I think it would be
Commission
great
and
if that
Sewer
working
Commission
group
divided,
reached
but-
out to those
yeah.
department heads
Yeah.
to get feedback and approach and ask the questions that you're stating there of the lack of communication, the lack of workmanship. I know for a fact the highway department and water department work very well together. We share equipment, we help each other out, we share guys. I've borrowed guys from the sewer department, I'm not short-staffed. So I think that more research needs to be done on your research committee before a decision is made, and more feedback from the departments that are existing.
We absolutely, over the next, and we said this at our last meeting, if you saw the meeting, we asked to get feedback from all of the staff. So, again, I think, Keith, we said that, we asked you to reach out to, I think it was the union. I don't think they wanted to meet
Nope.
in an open, public meeting. They wanted to do it privately. So it wouldn't be in front of the entire selectmen, it would be with one or two selectmen.
I'd be happy to sit down with the panel or with the Board of Selectmen or with the town body and discuss many cases where the water department has stepped up, whether it's cutting trees up around town because roads are blocked, snowstorms, anything.
Yeah, no, and
Not once
keep
was
in
that
mind, it's
feedback
just-
asked from the water
So
department
if
or
I
the sewer
could just real
department.
quick, Chris, your water commissioners were invited to every meeting. They're the commission, they're the group that oversees the water department. If they wanted their superintendent to be there, they should have asked them. This isn't, the discussion we're trying to have is supposed to be a collaborative one. Nobody's pointing fingers at you or at the sewer superintendent. But there's a public hearing, it was a public meeting, every one of those meetings were open, you could have come to any one of them. Any one of them.
And
From my
quite honestly,
understanding, it was
feels inappropriate for us to ask someone who doesn't report to us to attend a meeting.
Sure, but it was my understanding when that panel was started, it was asked for a member of Water Commission, a member of Sewer Commission. And I feel that maybe there should have been a coffee hour with the department heads to see, hey, feedback, what's your thought, what's your angle, what's your position on this? So there's a lot of moving parts from every month, that for
You're-
quarterly samples, monthly samples, that there's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yep.
We have an engineer that specializes in water. Wastewater has an engineer that specializes in wastewater. To have an engineer that specializes in drain laying isn't gonna fit the mold. You're still gonna have to have that other engineer that has that background and that knowledge.
We discussed that at one point, the engineer question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to speak at any of our open meetings, or one-on-one or one-on-two. It'd be open meeting law. So, you could speak privately with any two of us together. And I'd be happy to meet with you and discuss your thoughts as well.
It'd be great if we just got an invite rather than,
Yeah, and as water commissioner, we directed Chris not to attend. We wanted to be there ourselves, since we are, again, the policy-making body. We want him to focus on that part. So
Yeah,
it was
that's what
our
sounds
call
like to me,
not
too.
to have him.
Right, so we apologize for you not being invited, it wasn't our call.
it was my interpretation from emails and communications that went along that it was more of the board, the commissioners' invitation. It was their privilege to sit at that table for their feedback as a water commissioner, as the chairman, or so forth. So I just think that it'd be great to get more feedback from the boots on the ground, the superintendents. They're the boots on the ground. They're the ones out on the streets. They know day to day. The commissioners, they're not out on the road day to day. They're there for every other week for a meeting. We give them as much feedback as we can. We can't give them every little nut and bolt that went on that week. So I think it'd be great to get feedback from those department heads to see day-to-day operations. That's all.
Yeah, that's fine. I think probably what would make sense is just to meet with like one or two of us, like I said, unless you want to do it in an open, public meeting.
Whatever's
So it's up to
in the
you.
best transparency for the public, so they get a clear understanding of what goes on day-to-day
Yeah.
in water and wastewater. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to keep the system flowing.
I get it.
Oh, we're happy to have it in public. A lot of people aren't comfortable speaking in this type of forum.
Right,
So
that's-
I think the point is.
It's your call.
You can do it however you feel comfortable. We're open to it
Mm-hmm.
either way. We're trying to solve problems here, not cause them. So if this isn't the right solution, great, but let's fix it.
I'm not saying
Right
it's
now,
not the right
working.
solution or the right solution. I'm just saying there should be more research, there should be more discussion before it goes to town meeting for a vote. There should be more feedback from the departments and the residents. Thank you.
All right, Elaine?
I'm going to be respectful of the people who are waiting out there to be honored tonight. So two things. I just want to say, can we continue this to another date certain?
Absolutely.
And second, street trees and parks, wastewater has always worked with Paul Basler from day one. He's been on our committees, our subcommittees, so I just want that statement to be acknowledged, that is unless we're missing something, that's not a true statement as it pertains to wastewater. So, that's
All right.
it.
Thank you, Elaine.
That's
And
a joy.
we absolutely will continue this. We'll meet as many times as folks want. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to say? I don't want to, we can hold off on our 6 o'clock meeting for a few more minutes. Do we have a lot of people out there?
Yes, for the fire.
Oh, whoa, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go for, another 10 minutes here?
It's your call.
All right.
I don't need
We'll
to
go
talk
for another,
now.
yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I think we went through a disaster, and we did pretty darn good, COVID. And I think there's a lot of people here we should be thanking. I hate to disagree with the chair.
It's all right.
However, I do think we are still a small town, and we can still pick up the phone. I can call any one of you here, and you know it.
I know.
And you know it. I think we have a town administrator who can coordinate this. This may be something we should aspire to. I don't know. But we're not going up, folks. We're going down in population. I won't deny that all of our departments work very hard, very hard. But I just wanted to bring that to our attention. We did have a disaster, and we did do well, I think, for this town. I also think, I see the chief over there, one of the chiefs, and I know he's going to be looking for money. We're not talking about 150, 170,000 for this position. This is a lot more.
Actually,
And-
the position was funded at town meeting.
Excuse me?
The position was funded at town meeting because the budget passed.
Well, what was it funded for?
30,000.
No, but extra
30,000 over what
Yeah.
we had in the budget.
for the
It was a 30,
superintendent.
yeah, it was a $30,000 increase.
I think
Sorry
we
to
have...
interrupt. I just wanted you to know.
To
it was
have, just so
funded.
folks know, it would to have an engineer in that position.
And mostly, so that, I think there's a lot to look at, but mostly, to bring this back after a few months after town meeting, I just don't believe is appropriate for this board to do. And I think it diminishes all of our attendance at town meeting. We voted something. So that's all I want to say. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
thank you. I'll go for a few more minutes if anybody else wanted to say something.
As long as other select members here have made comments, I think I'd like to make a couple
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
comments, okay? I wasn't on the board when this project became a study and a recommendation to go to town meeting. I'm leaning towards not being in favor of it. Some of my concerns are that, number one, I don't believe that it's a cost of only $30,000 additional, that we will hire a new manager, director, for anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000. We are promoting, at least temporarily, a couple of members of the Streets, Trees, and Parks to fill the vacant job of Mr. Basler. I find it hard to believe that we will roll back their salaries and roll back their positions when we bring in somebody new. One of those positions was, well, they're both promotions, so I suspect we may be hiring somebody to replace one of those positions. I'm concerned about the budget impact. I personally like having some independence for the water department and the wastewater department. And I consider that somewhat similar to we don't have the fire department or the police department reporting to the town administrator. They have some independence reporting to the Board of Selectmen. I believe that somebody else out here has already hit upon it, that the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen have to take some responsibility for coordinating and making sure that the relationships, the working ability between the water, wastewater, and the streets, trees, and parks are working effectively. If there's an issue, it's up to the selectmen, the town administrator. Yes, we maybe don't have direct reporting authority, but we ought to be able to work together as a town, as a group, okay? Those are my main points. I just wanted to make it clear that, you know, the way we've been talking up here, it sounded like the Board of Selectmen is 100% behind this project and trying to sell it. I just want to let it be known that I have not 100% made up my mind one way or another. I'm only one member, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. Oh, my last item was already mentioned. I think it's absolutely abhorrent to even think about bringing this to the fall town meeting. That I don't care if it was voted down by 10 votes or 1,000 votes. Town meeting spoke. Let's at least give it a year before we bring it back to the table. Thanks.
All right, thanks,
Eric.
Carl. Anybody else? Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, oh, sorry.
Somebody on that?
Yeah, it looks like, was it Dawn?
You can take the slideshow down.
That was Don.
Hi,
If
good
you can
evening,
hear me
everybody.
fine.
My name's David Saper, and I serve on the Kingston Water Department as the treatment plant operator. I've had the pleasure to serve the Water Department for 25 years. And in that time, I can't tell you how much cooperation that I've seen personally between departments. People have short memories these days, but I could sit here and talk all night about the endless storms, where we all came together as a team, horrible water main breaks that completely shut down Smith's Lane, where we all came together as a team. I know you remember, Paul. I know you remember. I know every department head was out there for that one. I love serving the town. And I first want to say that I really appreciate the civil discourse of this. I'm always open to listening to new and better ways of serving the town. But what I can tell you is that in my 25 years of service on the Water Department, I've come to discover that response and management calls have to come very, very rapidly. Right now, I'm on 24/7 call as we speak right now. I have the beeper, and I just responded to a call prior to taking this meeting. But my point is that one of the reasons I've always loved serving on the Water Department is because of the management structure that we have. It's always extremely experienced. Matt Darsh knew the system like the back of his hand, was always there for us day or night. And our current superintendent, Chris Varaka, is the exact same. It's been a pleasure to serve him, and I can't tell you how many times when I've been on call, I've run into absolutely awful situations. And no matter what time of day or night, Chris always picks up the phone. Chris has a plan of action. Chris puts it in action. And I've always had great respect for that, truly, Chris. I've also always had great respect for the chain of command at the Water Department and how every single employee, from our low man right up onto the top, respects that chain of command, respects the people that they answer to, and are respectful to the people that they answer to. It's a very, very effective department, one that I am truly proud to serve. And regardless of which direction the town takes in this proposal, of course I'll be still equally proud to serve both this town, which has been so wonderful to me, and the Water Department, which has been so wonderful to me. So I just wanted to just quickly speak and put my perspective out there that I hope that this plan in no way impedes that rapid response leadership that we currently already have at the Water Department. That's my only concern, that ability to act quickly, streamline decision-making from someone that knows the system inside and out. It's a very big, complex system. It's just not one of those things where you can just bring someone in from outside and they're up to speed in 3 months, 6 months. It's very complex, and as you mentioned, the town has grown an awful lot. When I started in 2000, God only knows how many new homes have been built since then. And we've had to completely modernize our water treatment and distribution facilities. They're much bigger and more complex, which makes competent direct management on site even more important, with state-of-the-art green sand filtration systems, chlorination, the addition and use of chemicals where previously it was just a simple slurry to pump the water out, much less demand. And with that increased demand comes increased responsibility, and also with that increased usage comes increased breaks and disruptions and, that kind of thing. And I can just speak from my 25 years' experience that the response has always been incredible. And I've always been extremely proud to serve under the management that I do serve at the Water Department. And again, thank you all very much for this very civil discourse. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, and I will just reiterate, I don't want people to think we're trying to replace anybody. We're not. Oh, thank you. We're not trying to replace anybody. All we're trying to do, we want to keep the people who are the experts in town in place, including the commissioners, the superintendents. This is just an added layer of again, we're not going to get into it again, but
No,
it's
and I think you need to probably have a slide for that, maybe a little clearer, and in terms of the benefit, not only to the day-to-day for folks, but also the speediness of responsiveness.
Right,
Is that this would
right.
actually make it faster
We,
to
and,
address
and
issues?
we're not trying to slow
Not
it
slower.
down or add more red tape at all. I mean, that is not the intention,
Right.
other than projects being coordinated. So projects would need to be coordinated across all departments, police, fire, highway, water,
Which it
sewer.
should be
It should
anyway,
be,
right.
but it's not. So, I mean, if that's all done, that's what kicked off this process to begin with.
And I think what I heard tonight from folks that came was they believe that it is being coordinated. So if we have examples of how it's not working, and if there are examples of the cost that is associated with that I think would be helpful for people to see.
All right,
I think he was,
yeah.
I don't know.
All right, so we're gonna, what's that? Yeah, we're gonna adjourn this meeting.
And we wanted
We
to-
will
are we
have
gonna continue it
more
till
of
9:30
these
or-
over the next several months. So, but please don't hesitate to also reach out directly to me or anybody else on this board with questions,
5:30.
comments. And Chris, if you want to meet privately or in an open meeting, it's your call. We'll do either. And that goes for anybody. All
So
right.
do we want to move to continue the public hearing to Tuesday, what is it, July 15th
No.
at 5:30 PM? No?
Well, you can, but I won't be here.
Well, I don't want that.
Vacay.
29th?
29th?
29th? 5:30? Okay, so that's my motion.
All right. All those in favor? Eric, aye.
Kim, I. Missy, I.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
All right. All right. We-
Move to adjourn.
ahead.
Second.
All right. All those in favor? Eric, aye.
Kim, I. Missy, I.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
Okay.
All right. We're good. We're gonna take.
6:23, if that helps.
Yep. We're gonna take about a 10-minute break and then we'll start our regular meeting. going to go ahead and get started. I am going to call our Board of Selectmen meeting for June 17th to order at 6:27. I need glasses, sorry. 6:27, and we're going to actually start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. We have a few announcements tonight. This meeting is being recorded by the local scene. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Perfect, thank you. Financial assistance applications are available on the town's website or by calling the Selectmen's office. For anyone interested in volunteering, there are several vacancies on various committees and boards. To see a complete list of the openings, please visit our website at kingstonma.gov. Also, check out our website for any additional events or notices at kingstonma.gov. We have new townhouse hours beginning on June 30th. Monday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Tuesday 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Wednesday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Thursday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Friday townhouse will be closed. Do we have Dawn on? We do have Dawn, so let's do a roll call.
I am here.
Vote to, motion to open our meeting.
Well, it's just a roll call vote.
Yeah, so Eric here.
Kim, I here.
Missy, I here.
Carl here.
Dawn here. And can you hear
Thank
me
you.
clearly?
We can.
Yep.
Okay,
Do you
just
wanna
wanted to make
do-
sure.
While we have a full room, we might as well mention that Finance Committee is looking for new members. We have 3 open seats on Finance Committee, and that's an integral part of the town, and they review the budget, help determine how we spend money, and they present that budget to town meeting. So it's very, very important. We need people who are interested in how the town spends money and making recommendations. So please consider volunteering or finding someone that you know that might be interested in filling this role. Take the opportunity with a full room, right?
Absolutely, recruiting.
I mean, there's other openings too, but that's the one that I'm focused on right now.
Anything else?
Just music nights.
Yep.
They start Tuesday, the 24th, 6 p.m. Chris Ballerini, Dan Felix at Grays Beach Park. Parking is limited, and there's info on the rec site.
Excellent.
Did you mention it's transfer station sticker season?
Oh, thank
Due
you.
July 1st.
Yep. So as of July 1st, your dump sticker won't work anymore. You can't get in. So make sure you get your new sticker now. There is the online sticker. Not yet. You have to go to the highway barn still, like the good old days. But hopefully soon there'll be online stickers. So just, the clock is ticking. And then, did you want to talk about the planning board joint meeting?
Yes. Thank you. So due to a failure to elect on the planning board and Board of Selectmen are seeking candidates interested in filling the open seat until the next town election in the spring of 2026. Interested candidates must submit a letter of consideration and qualifications no later than June 25th. Please submit your information by mail to the Town of Kingston Board of Selectmen Office. Attention, Patricia Tucker, 26 Evergreen Street, Kingston, Mass. 02364, or by email to ptucker@kingstonma.gov. All candidates will be interviewed at a joint Planning Board Board of Selectmen meeting on Tuesday, July 1st at 6 p.m. Can we do the pinning first and then open forum? I can do open forum after.
Do it
Yeah, all
however
right.
you want.
All right, so our first appointment is a Kingston Fire Department promotion and hiring pinnings. Chief?
Good evening. We're here tonight to congratulate and swear in Captain Joshua Hatch and 4 new Kingston firefighters. But before we move to the swearing in, I would like to thank Captain Susan Hussey for her 27 years of dedicated service to the town of Kingston. Sue is due to officially retire in July, and I speak for everyone in wishing her a long, happy, and healthy retirement. First, the promotion of Captain Hatch. Susan, of course, isn't here because she doesn't like public recognition and clapping like that. First, the promotion of Captain Hatch. A competitive assessment center was given This fall, a captain's exam was held in anticipation of Captain Hussey's retirement. The process is made up of several parts, including a written examination and practical components designed to assess the overall ability of each candidate. The scores are then tabulated by an agreed-upon formula, thoroughly reviewed, and results are provided to the fire chief by an independent panel. Joshua Hatch ranked highest in this process and became eligible for promotion to captain after completion. Josh was promoted to captain on May 27, 2025, taking Captain Hussey's place on Group 3. Josh, will you and your family please step forward so you can be sworn in and receive your badge, as well as Jana, the Assistant Town Clerk, to do so. Josh is being pinned by his wife Stephanie and children Nora and Caleb. Flip for it.
All right. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Joshua Hatch, solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon you as an appointed fire captain for the town of Kingston in according to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Kingston Fire Department, the bylaws of the town of Kingston, and the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Constitution of the United States? Excellent. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Josh. Pinnings are a celebration of accomplishment and an opportunity for families, friends, and residents to share in the success of the fire department and the individuals. In Kingston, pinning ceremonies are conducted when either promotions take place or new firefighters complete their probationary period, which is 1 year of service and meeting all entry-level requirements. In Kingston, all new members are required to be certified as paramedics prior to being hired. This educational process takes 1 to 2 years to complete excuse me, and includes extensive classroom hours coupled with hospital and field internships. Once hired, new members are sent to the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy for 12 weeks of rigorous classroom and practical training in all aspects of firefighting. Once that is complete, they return to Kingston and commence training in all aspects of the Kingston Fire Department and the town of Kingston. Tonight, we celebrate their success. As we call each of you, I'd ask you to step forward so that Janet can swear you in and your family can present you with your badge. First, firefighter Elizabeth Ewell, who will be pinned by her wife Lorna and sons Carter and Preston.
I'll swear in first, okay? Just one more minute. Raise your right hand, please. Do you, Elizabeth Ewell, solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon you as an appointed firefighter paramedic for the town of Kingston, in accordance to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Kingston Fire Department, bylaws of the town of Kingston, the laws of the Commonwealth, and the Constitution of the United States? Excellent. Congratulations. Picture.
Next, firefighter Mark Leary. Mark will be pinned by his father, retired Weymouth Fire Chief Robert Leary.
Mark, raise your right hand.
Do you, Mark Larry, solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon you as an appointed firefighter paramedic for the town of Kingston, according to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Kingston Fire Department, the bylaws of the town of Kingston, the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Constitution of the United States? Excellent, congratulations. I know, right? By the end, you guys will be able to do it yourselves.
Next, firefighter paramedic Patrick O'Donovan, being pinned by his wife Lisa, his children Liam and Clara.
Wait. No, right. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Patrick O'Donovan, solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon you as an appointed firefighter paramedic for the town of Kingston, according to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Kingston Fire Department, the bylaws of the town of Kingston, the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Constitution of the United States? Oh, my goodness. He did it.
Next, firefighter paramedic Caroline Reed, being pinned by her father, Kingston firefighter James Reed. Excuse me.
Oh, before I swear you in, Caroline, I just wanted to say, I'm here standing in for Paul Gallagher. I spoke with him earlier. He really wishes he was here. So, raise your right hand, please. Do you, wrong line. Do you, Caroline Reed, solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties and responsibilities incumbent upon you as an appointed firefighter paramedic for the town of Kingston, according to the best of your abilities and understanding, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the Kingston Fire Department, the bylaws of the town of Kingston, the laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Constitution of the United States? I do. Congratulations, ma'am.
That concludes our pinning ceremony. I'd like to thank Jana for all of her work today, and all of you for the privilege of your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take a recess for just a few minutes as everybody's leaving.
I mean, if you want to stay.
Yeah.
soon as they see you and hear you and show you.
He's on mute.
Don, are you still there? He may have taken a break.
I
All right, good.
am. I am.
All right, we can hear you. All right, so we're going to resume, and we're going to go back to open forum. Never mind, I'm canceling open forum.
Don't do that. It does not go well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Will Cushman, 273 Main Street, Kingston, Mass. I'm here today to ask a couple questions because my mom and me noticed the Summer Street, Main, and the Summer Street and Main Street going up to Cancun. The sidewalks are starting to rip apart, and my question is, I'm kind of mad because you guys didn't take into account that Main Street is more damaged, and I know Summer Street was like, and Green Street was second, third on the list, but Main Street is one of the oldest streets in town, and in my opinion, that street should get maintenance before anything else. I know you guys are doing part and part, but the sidewalks are horrible. It's cracked more than Summer Street. It's very dangerous. And I almost tripped multiple times on Main Street alone, not accounting that I almost tripped on this street, which was I wasn't watching, but I feel that Main Street deserves more attention to the sidewalks than Summer Street, and from like the part of Main Street on like down by between the corner where you guys were doing that maintenance on the waterway, and then down towards the Cumbies. Because did you guys ever think about what's about that? And what did you guys think when you guys were planning it? Because I don't feel Summer Street was more necessary, needing a new sidewalk than Main Street.
All right, thank you. We probably need to get Val.
I was going to say,
Val's
Keith can
feedback.
probably.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
So just to respond to that, so the state of Massachusetts, Commonwealth, Mass DOT is doing ADA sidewalk improvements along that stretch of road that you were talking about. So that's not Town of Kingston working, that's Mass DOT and the contract that was hired by Mass DOT.
Okay, right. And also, do you know if they are going to be doing the whole Main Street? Because the whole Main Street needs to be redone. I mean, like the whole sidewalk on Main Street has to be redone.
So we're working with our planning department to try to identify the best way to reconstruct all of Main Street, not just the road, not just the sidewalk. So those plans are ongoing. That's going to be a multi-million-dollar project that has to get state approval because it's a state road. So I don't disagree that there are certain areas that are in terrible shape, no question about that. But that's a very, very expensive project that it's going to take some time to plan out properly.
Okay, thank you. Have
All
a
right.
nice one.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Roseanne
good.
Pratt, 10 Center Street. I'm one of the walkers in the morning, and some mornings I have to make sure, am I going to poke my eye out with the bushes on Main Street or break my ankle with the lousy sidewalks? This has been going on for, I would say, 10 years. You've got to address these problems because somebody's going to get hurt, and I hope it's not me.
I didn't pay for those two. I didn't pay for that. Susan Sherman, 215 Main Street, and she was a Cushman. Let me start by saying that I think the town administrator is now mistaken because Main Street is in fact the town street. It is not a state road. So with that, I'm not going to get into that debate now, but I'm looking for 3 pedestrian signs. I've talked to some of you. There were 3. There was one at the Unitarian Church. There was one at Elm in Maine and one at Green in Maine, which I think we sorely need for calming measures, if nothing else. I've been informed by two different people, so I'm putting it to the selectmen, that, well, one said, John, I'm sorry, who's our?
John Bateman?
No, who's our?
Oh, Sean.
Sean, sorry, senior moment. He said that he has two of them. So I don't know what's going on with that. Number two, the chief. Signage. We have $50,000. Where is it? Can we address that tonight? And that's supposed to be for, I believe, safety and traffic calming measures, is it not?
Yeah, so Keith can address both.
A couple of things here. First of all, you're absolutely correct. It is a town road. It does need to have state approval before any improvements occur, so I apologize for my slight inaccuracy
It's been
there.
said far too many times.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's because it's a state
Yeah,
route,
that's fine.
right? But we own the road.
So with regards to the signs, two of the signs are town-owned. One sign is owned by, I believe, the church. I spoke to Sean today. We had a conversation. We're going to have those, one sign is broken, but we're going to have it replaced. We're going to purchase a new one. The other sign is going to go out probably tomorrow. So when we get that second sign in, that sign will be put together by Streets, Trees, and Parks and placed on Main Street like it was last year. I can't speak to what the church's intent is with their sign, but we will have two town-owned signs out there as soon as the second one is able to be delivered and
I appreciate that.
constructed. The $50,000 was something that I asked, I believe it was Senator Moran at the time, a year or so ago, for an earmark for some sort of traffic calming. My initial thought, and this was before Chief Holmes had been hired and taken his position, was potentially a mobile trailer that would identify people's speeds and help the police department calm traffic. Since, and I don't want to speak for the chief, but I'll try, since that time, we've reached out to the senator's office, and we've asked for some discretion, some leeway on what we can use that sign, or what we can use those funds for. We don't need to buy specifically a trailer. We can buy traffic calming, some sort of traffic calming measures, and it's our intent to do that. I don't have a time frame for you today, but we will certainly be utilizing that $50,000 to enhance our traffic calming capabilities someplace in town.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else for open forum? Yep.
I said no.
Jennifer Cushman, 273 Main Street. I'm just going to bring this up again. Can somebody talk to St. Joseph's about their bells? They're aiming right from my bedroom window, and I get woken up every weekend, 6 o'clock in the morning.
So I thought we had a conversation, somebody from town staff, and I apologize, I don't remember which person it was, had a conversation with the church who had indicated they were going to modify the times that the bells were ringing. So I will,
The
we will
point
reach.
is, though, they
we'll
were
reach out to
never
the-
there before.
We'll reach out to the church, we'll ask them if they can reduce the volume or potentially not ring them at 6 o'clock in the
Oh,
morning.
trust me, he's called me personally, and I listened to him say, I'm not getting rid of my bells for about 20 minutes.
So I understand the situation that you're in. I don't believe there's anything the town can do. There's no bylaw or state law being broken that the town can require the church to reduce or eliminate their bell ringing.
I mean, it sets his ticks off. You should see-
I completely understand, and I'm just trying to be as honest with you as I can. I don't want to sit here tonight and tell you that I can try to do something when I can't.
There's got to be something we can do, because this is crazy. I mean, I even said to one person, just take the front two speakers off. And yes, they can adjust their volume, because
So,
they've done it, because I've been
I
sitting
will-
outside and
I
they've turned them
will-
up.
I will assure you that I'll reach out to the church tomorrow myself.
Okay.
Try to have a conversation. If you have a contact and a phone number that you'd be willing to share, that would be fantastic. And I'll ask what I can do. But again, I don't want to mislead you.
Okay.
I don't have any, the town doesn't have any authority to silence.
That's what I heard, that you guys don't have the authority.
But I'm happy to reach out and try to have a conversation.
All right.
I'm not really sure what more I
I'm
can
going
do
to go to
than
the
that.
archdiocese too, I think, because it's.
Sure.
Yep.
It would be nice to have it not pointing at my house. I've lived there over 30 years, and now it's tempting to sell the place.
Was there can I just ask one question?
Go ahead.
Has there been a change in the volume or the times that the bells are ringing?
That's exactly what
It changes
She
off and
told
on.
you not to talk, right, Will?
I have the list right there.
Oh, you got the list. He's got a list going.
They do ring it, they have them,
There you go. Well trained.
they have rung them at 8:54 a.m., 6 a.m., no, 6 p.m. actually, 6 p.m., 11:25, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., 12 p.m., 12 p.m., 12:03 p.m., 12:06 p.m. And
But
then-
have they always rung at those times, or is it, are they more free?
6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday.
When did this
to-
all start, I think is what
I'm
Keith
trying to
is
hear
trying to
how
ask.
often, thank you.
The Friday
Sorry.
before the Pope died.
Okay.
And they would do ring it once in a great while, back to back, which is double triggering from my autism and all my disabilities that I do have.
Okay.
And that is ridiculous. Mom, you must step back to the microphone.
Yes, yes, sir.
He's come to a lot of
Anyway,
these meetings.
It's just, I mean, I've talked to him, and he's been quite rude that he's not gonna get rid of the bells.
Yeah.
And one day, I was sitting outside on the front porch brushing my dog. He walks across the yard, and I swear to God, he went in and turned them up. So,
All right, so Keith is going to try. Yeah.
thank you.
All right, thanks. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Anybody else for open forum online, or it's just Dawn? Dawn wants to speak. Anybody else here want to speak? All right. Our next item, update on Kingston Elementary School replacement project.
So, Mike Lawless, who's, and I apologize, Mike, Director of Facilities, is here representing Silver Lake tonight, just to give the board an update. The Silver Lake School Department, School Committee, I guess, but last week voted to support funding the 20% portion of, it wasn't Silver Lake, I'm sorry, it was Kingston Schools, apologize. Replace 20% of the roof at the Kingston schools, because that's the only portion of the roof that was eligible to be funded through the Mass School Building Aid. I got an email from the superintendent asking for the Board of Selectmen support in that decision, so I thought it was appropriate to have somebody from the school department here tonight just to answer any questions, if the board had any questions about why they had chosen to move forward in that direction. The last thing I guess I'd say, and Mike can back me up if I'm wrong, the 20% that they're looking at is an independent section of the roof. It's not going to need to be phased in at a later date. That section is a completely standalone section, so replacing that portion of the roof doesn't impact potentially or minimize the quality of the roof insulation by having a seam there later once the rest of the roof is replaced.
And I would argue that knowing government doing double the project isn't going to save any money. It would probably cost double the double. So we're not going to see any savings by waiting and doing it all together.
The only question I would have is, does it reduce our eligibility for the other 80%? Sorry, Don. Because that would be my only concern with doing the 20% now, is does it make it so that we can't apply for the other 80% when that turns 25 years old?
We can apply again in 2027 when they open up that project again. There's no guarantee that we get accepted again. So, you know, it's in the school committee's view that we do the section we can do now. And it's about 11,000 square feet of roof.
Do you have an estimated cost, Mike?
I don't.
Okay, all right.
Don, did you have a question?
I guess just to kind of follow up, that Kim said what I was going to ask, but do we know if it does impact us on that list, though?
Oh, because we've already
Because
had
to me, if there's any impact at all, I wouldn't want to do it now.
I'm not sure. They just told us that we could apply again in 2027 because that's when the rest of the roof will fall into 25 years from when you apply.
So it's a risk
So it really,
analysis.
it is a risk, I mean, it really depends on how much money is in the, yeah.
That section is the worst part of the roof that would be covered. It is the worst in the building, so.
Yeah. Carl, did you have a question?
Yeah, do I understand correctly that we don't have a dollar number, how much we intend to spend for this 11,000 square foot roof?
I don't have that, no.
I'm reluctant to be recommending something if I don't at least know that it's gonna be $1 million and 500K is paid by the state.
No, so that's the portion that they're not gonna do. The portion that we are doing, the 20%, we do have a number for that.
I don't
Or we
have that
don't.
with me. I know originally we had a number for the entire roof. I don't know if Keith, if you remember what that number was. But now out of the roughly 95,000 square feet,
Yeah.
only a little over 11,000 square feet are
To be
eligible.
clear, I don't think we're being asked to vote on this. We are just being presented with an update, correct?
No, what I was asked for, and Mike, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the superintendent asked for the selectmen's support in moving forward with
The
with the
20%.
20% of the roof because it's a town of Kingston-owned building.
And we need to give the MSBA a yes or a no basically tomorrow in order to get everything to
I mean-
fall into place.
So we're gonna,
Theoretically, I think we should maybe do that, but again, like Carl said, I don't know how we say
So
we
the-
support it without a
so
dollar amount.
just to try to move forward in the process, so if the board does support this tonight, we'd notify MSBA. They've done the due diligence on the type of repairs that need to be done. They've hired an engineer or a roof expert who's identified the type of repair that needs to be, or replacement that needs to be done. What would happen from this point forward is it would be bid out. The MSBA would agree to what the bidding was going to be. We would determine what that cost would be, and we have to go to fall town meeting to appropriate those funds. So the MSBA, and I don't have the exact percentage in front of me, but it was 30-something percent, I believe, 35-ish% of the total cost of the roof. So we don't have a total cost at this point because it hasn't been bid out. And we won't know that until later on this summer or fall. And again, it'll be, the opportunity to vote yea or nay is at the fall town meeting.
Did you say that the 20% that would be replaced is the worst part of the roof right now?
Yes, it's the
okay.
oldest part, yes.
Yeah, okay. So one thing to keep in mind, my experience with MSBA, and because I did it a few times over my career in school committee, Kim.
Wait, you want to
But anyways, the time that I spent, if MSBA approves you and you move forward and it goes to town meeting and it's voted down, correct me if I'm wrong, but it hurts you when you apply the next time because they're looking at you like, yeah, they didn't move forward. You're not moving up the list again. So I think it hurts if we move forward and then doesn't pass. Like if we withdraw our support later. So it's like pull the trigger and keep your finger.
And if this 11,000 square feet, did you say it was, the total was 90-something?
The total is, of the entire roof area is 95,635.
Okay.
And the covered area is 11,650.
Okay, so it's approximately 10%. So do we know that the proposal that we sent in was X number of dollars, and we could even take 10% of that?
No, I can tell you this, though. A couple of years ago, when the school department had included roof replacements for both KES and KIS in the capital plan, the estimated cost at that point was $2 million a roof. So those numbers are old, but you're talking, I would say $300,000-$400,000 probably. 30-some-odd% of that's going to be reimbursed through MSBA. But that's probably the magnitude you're looking at this point, I would think.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
My comment would be, I don't like not having some numbers.
Yeah.
And if in fact, we had gone forward with the total project at being even $3 million, And then now we say 10% of that, if it was 500,000, I don't have a problem with it. But if somehow that roof had, because we had added in doors and windows and things like that that we've done in the past, I'd be concerned that it could be significantly more than 2 million. But, you know, we don't seem to have the answers for tonight. And if the decision has to be made tonight, so be it, I guess.
Any concerns?
I mean, just the same,
Yep.
just that we don't have a number for it, but I do know the MSBA grants are difficult to
Yeah.
access and to apply for, and to be given an opportunity to have some form of it being paid for is better than not being approved at all, so.
And it's also a sign of the times, I guess, because I'm sure, Eric, you probably remember, I always like to consider the grants, the state paying 45%,
Yeah.
and the town paying 55%.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't surprise me.
Right.
And we have no way to confirm whether or not it could impact us. Because I mean, to me, that's a huge deal breaker. If this at all could impact us getting another one.
So I think if I could, Don, I can't answer specifically, but my understanding is that every other year, they allow for applications that are eligible for potential reimbursement, and they identify and grade each one of those projects based on need. So without knowing who the competition is going to be and how much they're asking for,
Right.
I think they're completely independent applications. And I would agree with what Eric mentioned. I think if the town of Kingston votes either tonight or at town meeting not to support the state funding, I don't think they're going to tell you that they may not support it next time, but I think that it does hurt your ability to be considered for future awards, at least for a period of time.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Another issue that, you know, somewhat, normally when you think of replacing a school roof, you're thinking of a bond issue for financing over a period of time, maybe 20 years. Well, you know, if this in fact is going to be the town's portion, let's call it $300,000, then I'm not terribly enthusiastic about doing a bond financing for $300,000. But at the other side of the coin, Mike, is if I don't do anything, am I going to have some leaks there 6 months from now or a year from now?
There's currently leaks all the time that are being addressed, yes.
Yeah. So would anybody like to make a motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen support the recommendation from the Kingston School Committee in replacing the 20% of the roof that is eligible for MSBA funding at the Kingston Elementary School.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, Eric, aye.
Kim, I.
Missy, I.
Carl, I.
Thank you.
Don, do you want to vote? Say Tyler, aye.
Yeah. He's still muted.
That's okay, we got,
Oh. Does he vote?
Oh, no, I'm good. Sorry.
Say aye if you want to vote
we
in
voted
favor.
to support.
Aye, sorry.
There you
Sorry.
Remote is fun, isn't it?
All right.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike.
thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. Next item is request the Board of Selectmen support of the Conservation Department's application for a coastal habitat and water quality grant program application for design and permitting of stormwater improvements to Drew and Seaver Avenues in Rocky Nook. Keith, do you want to?
Sure. Conservation, Matt Pinella, speaking of being online, is online. He's here tonight seeking the board's support on the grant application you just mentioned, and he'd be happy to answer any questions and provide just a short informational paragraph on what the application's for.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Hey.
So similar to some of the other stormwater work we've done in town, this would be something eventually that would deal with treating water before it ends out in Kingston Bay. We're focusing on Drew and Seaver Ave. Some of the Seaver Ave residents pointed out to Sean and I how currently the water just basically runs down the street directly into the bay. So we're applying for early phase work, due diligence, design, and permitting. And then in a future grant round, we would have it built. So it's a 90-10. Actually, I'm sorry, this isn't a 90-10. There's a no match required grant, but we are proposing to provide 10% match. We're looking to get, I believe it's about $38,000 from the grant, and we'll be providing a mixture of cash and in-kind services to cover $4,200 match. So if you have any questions, I can answer them.
Any questions?
Just seems to me that all the stormwater in Rocky Nook ends up going into the bay one way or another. So I guess we're just trying to filter it or do something before it goes in.
Yeah, the idea is that, when your fertilizer company comes and spreads fertilizer that probably shouldn't be there in the first place, and then it rains, it all runs down into the bay as soon as it rains. Same thing with dog waste or oil on the road. They call it first flush. So if you can get that first flush into the ground for most storms, then you're in much better shape.
Any questions, comments, motions?
Move the Board of Selectmen support the Conservation Department's application for the Coastal Habitat and Water Quality Grant Program application for design and permitting of stormwater improvements to Drew and Seaver Avenues in Rocky Nook.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric, aye.
Kim, aye.
Missy, aye.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
All righty. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, have a good night.
All right, next item is presentation from Recreation on the use of revolving funds.
So Sue Woodworth is here this evening to make a presentation to the Board of Selectmen on the revenues that we collect and go into the revolving fund, as well as the types of expenses that are incurred. I know there were a number of questions and discussions that occurred during the fiscal 26 budget process. So to try to be proactive with the board and allow the board to be more aware of what these funds are collected for and what they're expended for, I asked Sue to come in tonight and just make a brief presentation so the board is, and the public is more aware of how the revolving funds have been used by the Recreation Department to offset their budget and provide the programming and field maintenance that's needed without any tax impact to the residents.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here to share any information that I can with you. I can start by just explaining in short detail and then answer any questions that people may have. But the revolving funds, as Keith had mentioned, partly not subsidized, but they help support the Parks and Recreation program offerings. Basically, they include fees and property utilization, revenue that comes in. The property utilization applies to the Reed Community Building and also the athletic complexes that we currently have under our jurisdiction. Funds received for programming includes, and in our revolving fund, we do have different line items, so it's not just a blanket thing. There are different line items that are associated with those. Those line items include programs for instructors and staff, program supplies, and then athletic complex expenses. Fiscal year 25, year to date, we've offered over 335 programs. We've managed over 6,300 registrations. We've utilized over 99 facility reservations, and those do not include the facility use of all of the recreation programs. Those are in addition to. We've had 229 field and property reservations, and our revenue, when I did this report, was at $586,000. And our expenses at that particular point in time were $532,000. So again, as the money comes in, the money goes back out. So sometimes it will look like there's a big influx of money because a lot of our programming is quarterly or is seasonally based off of the youth sports organizations revenue that comes in as well. So sometimes there's a lot of money in there, and then that money will go back out, and then the money continues to come back and go back out. So there's always that influx of the funds going back in and out. I can give some more general overview of the Parks and Recreation Management if you would like that information as well. That also supports part of how the revolving fund works. I'm not sure what else, other information that you would like at this time.
Any questions?
No, I mean, recreation is a perfect example of what a revolving fund is for, right? Programs take in fees, and then they pay for some of the services that are provided. So I think it's a really great example of what these funds are for. But also, we heard from Finance Committee last year, and I think we've heard in prior years, that they wanted more transparency around that money, just understanding what is it being used for and where is it coming from. So I think also presenting this when we get closer to town meeting to Finance Committee will be helpful, like the details of, not necessarily every penny, obviously, but we buy, we take in summer camp fees and we buy T-shirts for the kids, and we, I don't know, insert expenses here. I'm not as familiar with.
Sure, and part of that too is, the bill processing is the same in the revolving fund as it is for any other bill expenditures. So there's a process in place that the money comes in, we still have to process it through our department's bill processing. I have to sign off on it. My administrator writes up the schedule. Then it goes to the finance director's office, and so there's an oversight there as well. So it's a funneling process that's the same as everybody else in the departments. It's just a different fund. So all of that comes in and that goes. And there's reports too that can be printed anytime that anybody would like to see them, from Eunice, from Kathleen, from myself, that actually will give you the breakdown of every single line item of what things were purchased for. But exactly what you said, Kim, it's to pay for the supplies of the program. Sometimes it's to pay for repairs of properties, not large capital expenditures, but some of the other things that we might need to do for certain properties and things like that to running the programs, and then the equipment necessary, and then the instructors. Most of our programs are instructor-based. They're not run by town employees outside of our K-Rec Connect summer program and a couple of other programs, but the majority of them are all run by subcontractors or private instructors. So again, the money comes in for those programs, and then the money goes back out to support those instructors.
And I think it's important to note that salaries and benefits and things can't come out of a revolving fund. That has to come out of the operating budget for the town, my understanding. Is that correct? Looking at the finance people in the room.
So the wages for the summer camp come out of that?
No, I mean like the employees. So for instance, your salary and benefits can't come out of a revolving fund, I don't believe.
No.
Exactly, okay. Just looking at the finance people, well, now we've got the finance director behind you.
Part-time salaries can be taken out of a revolving account, and they are taken out of the building revolving account.
Like camp
but
counselors
not-
and lifeguards and those types of things too.
Part-time electrical inspector, that type of thing, so.
Correct. And our subcontractors too, for our turf contractors, different contractors from the athletic complex, those can also be paid out of the revolving account as well.
Missy, Carl, any questions?
No.
I'm good.
No.
Don, do you have any questions?
No.
All right.
So can I just ask one quick question? I apologize for catching you without prompting you for this beforehand. The new well up and running, ready to go?
Yes, the irrigation system is up and running, it's activated, it's fully activated. They'll be coming back, our irrigation contractor, monthly, just to do some property checks, but that is fully functional, up and running. The tennis court project is being finalized hopefully this week or next week, depending on the weather, but the paint has just started to go down, so that should be open hopefully by the end of next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thank you, Sue.
You're welcome.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right. Our next item is a request from the Agricultural Commission to use the town property for September 21st, 2025.
Good evening, John Lovell, member of the Agricultural Commission. We'd like permission on September 21st, it's a Sunday, to use the town lawn and the facilities here for our annual agricultural fair. It'll run from it'll be 1 to 4, and we usually start setting up at noon and cleaned up and out of here before 5.
So if I remember correctly, last year, one of our questions was animals on the front lawn.
Nope,
and
we won't do that.
Yeah. And you didn't last year either.
We didn't, no.
Right, yeah.
Same layout essentially as last time.
Very
It did
similar, yes.
work
Yeah.
well, and the only
Yeah.
concern, of course, is always, parking, making sure that people aren't blocking Evergreen, which we didn't have a problem with last year, so I don't anticipate an issue this year.
No, the parking worked out well. There's plenty of room here, which is a huge advantage.
And we had talked about a sign too,
I was going to bring that up.
potentially. I was at the meeting, so they had created a sign to put up front on the right, correct? Is that what you decided?
Yes, we
Okay.
have a banner that we made, and a few weeks prior to the event, we like to put it up on the far right side of the driveway.
Yeah.
It's out of the way, and I'll check with the facilities just to make sure there's nothing there that we're going to interfere with.
Right. Awesome.
Sounds good to me.
That's it.
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the request of the Agricultural Commission to use Town Hall property in the afternoon of September 21, 2025, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. for an agricultural fair.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric, aye?
Kim, I.
Missy, I.
Carl, I.
Don, aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right, now we have a request for a one-day liquor license. Reverend John Graham from St. Joseph's Parish is requesting a one-day license for the St. Joseph's Game Night at Our Lady's Hall at St. Joseph's Parish, located at 272 Main Street, Kingston, on June 27th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Any questions, comments?
You have neighbors who have questions, but that's up to you.
Go ahead.
Jennifer Cushman again. Please don't do that. Because if they let them drink, you know there are going to be people out in the yard screaming, and it's going to get rowdy. We've dealt with concerts in the backyard. We've dealt with bells now. I deal with the yard sales every year, which I don't care about the yard sales. But you let people drinking in that community center, it's going to get loud.
What was
Yeah,
the
6
time I'm
p.m.
looking
to
for?
10 p.m.
Yeah, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
That was signed off on.
It's by both chiefs.
Okay.
Yep.
Are there any questions from the board, comments?
I mean, I always have concerns about, neighbor concerns, but at the end of the day, I don't know. We've allowed for liquor licenses for other events that are similar time frame, similar density in neighborhoods. I don't know.
And I think if there's, an issue that comes up at this event, if we do decide to go forward with it, then I think that's something that we would want to know about after. the
Right.
event, if
I know,
it goes.
we've dealt with this, every summer it seems like there's a concert in the backyard, in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, you need to speak up at the mic. Sorry.
And then I'm after.
Well, I need to ask the chief a question.
Wait, go ahead.
Go ahead, just finish what you were
I mean,
saying.
I've seen them having concerts in the backyard, in
Yeah.
the parking lot. And that goes until almost midnight most nights, when they do that.
Okay.
It's just, if you let him get any more, he's gonna keep going, is my concern.
All right, thank you. Chief? Yeah. Did you have any concerns based on the application?
I don't.
It sounds like you didn't.
I understand the concerns of the neighbors. I have
Yep.
an existing relationship with Reverend Graham. I had a conversation with him about the last matter that was brought up in open forum.
Yep.
If there's any issues with this, I'll have an ongoing conversation with him to act on behalf of the board for issuing the license.
Mhm.
A game night is contained within the church. It's not going to spill over into the parking lot, in my opinion, so I wouldn't have any concerns about issuing the permit, and I'll continue to work with the church as a liaison from the board.
Okay. All right, any other questions, comments, or motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the one-day liquor license request from Reverend John Graham from St. Joseph Parish as requested, a one-day license for the St. Joseph's Game Night at Our Lady's Hall at St. Joseph Parish, located at 272 Main Street, Kingston, on June 27th, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Do I have a second? All right, all those in favor, Eric, aye?
Kim, I.
Missy, I.
Carl, I.
Don, aye.
All right. We will, if something happens, if it's rowdy late at
Call it
night,
in.
definitely.
Call it in.
Yeah, I would call it in, and also let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm just afraid the more you let him have, he's gonna keep going. That's the way he sounds.
And I feel it's not safe. Drinking and driving is the main thing.
Right.
And if the chief can get that say, them in detail during that event, that would be perfect. Just in detail to
All
sit in the parking lot.
Yeah, all right, we gotta stop, it's not really open forum. All right, the next item is a temporary road closure request. The residents of Rocky Nook, represented by Rebecca Hebert, have requested to temporarily close portions of several roads for a neighborhood event on July 4th, 2025. The request has been reviewed by police and fire chiefs and the superintendent of streets, trees, and parks, and their comments are included in the board packet and proposed motion. Any questions, comments, motions?
I can make a motion unless someone has a question. No?
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
Especially the, saying that we're going to maintain a 10-foot wide street all the time. I live in Rocky Nook, and I can tell you, on 4th of July weekend, I question if that's enforceable without having a police car driving through there every half hour. The second one about the, do we still have the fireworks? Police department take appropriate action against private citizens who use, possess, or sell fireworks. My experience living there for 19 years is half of Kingston comes down to see the fireworks that local Rocky Nook residents are firing off, not only on 4th of July, but usually 2 or 3 nights before. So again, I hope that if we approve this, that it's really enforceable, or we're just, putting it in writing, but that we really can't do much about it. And I personally am not fighting against fireworks. I'm not fighting against having tons of parking down there. I'm just trying to point out that that's really what happens.
If I'm remembering correctly, that additional item was requested to be added by our fire chief due to some concerns about illegal fireworks. So being kept in homes.
We added that
and
last year.
It might have even been the year before. It's been a while
Right.
that it's been in there because we needed to have that as a
Okay,
reminder.
it might have been when it was put in, there was one year that the major display of fireworks that goes on for a half hour, 45 minutes, was not held. And so I believe that was because there has been some personal discussion with this group. Now that I think about it, that group no longer lives in the Nook, so that one might not be a problem.
Well, just the same. The police department will hopefully enforce the laws of the state of Massachusetts.
Any other comments, concerns, motions?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the request from Rebecca Hebert to close a portion of East Avenue at Bayview Avenue, West Avenue at Bayview Avenue, Cole Street at Bagnell Street, and a portion of Rocky Nook Avenue from the intersection of East Avenue at, at Bayview Avenue to the intersection of Rocky Nook Avenue at North Street on Friday, July 4th, 2025, during the hours of 7 p.m. through 11 p.m. with the following conditions. 1, access for emergency vehicles must be maintained. All barricades must be placed to allow emergency responders to quickly move them. Sections of closed roads must have a width of at least 10 feet to allow for apparatus access. 2, the petitioner must pick up all needed barricades and road closed signs from the Highway Department by noon on July 3rd. All barricades and signs will be erected by the petitioners prior to the event. And I believe Sean Turner said he usually coordinates with them. 3, notification is made by the petitioner to the neighborhood residents that are affected by the road closure. And 4, instruct the police department to take appropriate legal action against private citizens who use, possess, or sell fireworks.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Eric, aye.
Kim, aye.
Missy, aye.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
All right. Additional items, annual reappointments. In our packet, we have a list of the annual board and commission reappointments with their expiration dates. Do we want to make a motion? Any questions? And if not, would anyone like to make a motion?
I move the Board of Selectmen approve the list of candidates up for reappointment to their boards of commission shown on the master list as presented.
Second.
All those in favor, Eric, aye.
Kim, I.
Missy, I.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
All right.
I think one of his kids voted.
Unanimous. All right, next item is declaring the Animal Control Explorer as surplus. The former Ford Explorer used as the animal control vehicle is no longer needed by the town. Police Department is requesting the board designate the vehicle as surplus. Any questions, comments, motions?
I move the Board of Selectmen declare the former Animal Control Ford Explorer surplus and approve the vehicle to be sold. If the vehicle cannot be sold, the board authorizes its use for vehicle rescue training by the fire department.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Eric, aye.
Kim, I.
Missy, I.
Carl, aye.
Don, aye.
All righty. Update on the status of establishing a Department of Public Works. We had a public forum which had some great feedback. We want to, I think we want to have a meeting with the superintendent, water superintendent. If the sewer superintendent wants to meet with us, we're more than willing to do that. We can schedule that for an open session meeting, or we can do one-on-ones with no more than 2 members, so that they can speak more freely.
There were questions raised, there were concerns addressed, so we can just add that to the list of the things that we bring to the next public hearing, which is scheduled for July 29th at 5:30 PM. I can't think of anything else.
No, that's good. All right, thank you. We have, do we have meeting minutes? We did, didn't we?
I don't think it were on the agenda though, right?
Oh.
The April minutes that we still do, they're not on.
Right. All right. Town administrators report.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I guess first I'd like to just congratulate the Silver Lake High School softball team for winning the state championship over the weekend.
yeah, I need
Congratulations
to
on
do
that.
that.
That was nicely done. So finally some good news, right? The school department notified the town about a week ago that there was a potential $457,000 revenue deficit. Since that time, they've identified through a number of unpaid leaves and retirements that they are able to offset that $457,000 revenue shortfall, so that's good news. The security cameras at the transfer station, we're looking to have replaced in the next couple of months. The security cameras have not worked since 2021. It's an important tool to make sure that there's a proper disposal is occurring up there by residents. Recently, someone disposed of contaminated waste oil costing the town $4,400 to remove rather than the typical $600. So we're trying to identify or have the ability to identify who's causing those problems so we can continue to offer those services rather than me coming to the board asking to no longer accept the waste oil because it's costing us $4,000 a month to get rid of. So Sean is working on getting those squared away. A grant application for engineering services for the intersection, for 3 intersections along Route 3A in Duxbury and Kingston has been submitted. The project includes Route 3 at the 3A interchange, the 3A intersection at Route 53, and the 3A intersection at Chestnut and Toby Garden Street. Total request of grant funds we asked for today was $2.1 million. A grant application is also being worked on now to upgrade the Harbor Master Building and Town Pier to address the increasing height of tides. That'll be finished up sometime in the next couple of weeks and submitted for consideration. Wanted to let the board know that our assistant planner, Erin Benoit, has ended her employment with the town being eliminated as of June 30th. We wish her well. And last week, interviews were held for the assistant treasurer position. We had some really strong candidates. They'll be meeting again, and I hope to have a recommendation in front of the board at your July 1st meeting. Lastly, the fire department had a new fire engine approved at the spring 2022 town meeting. That was received last week finally, which is great. And the Streets and Parks Department has received one more of its dump trucks. We have 2 more remaining that we expect to have in before snow flies, if snow flies next winter. So we'll have everything that's been approved at town meeting will be in stock and in place. So happy to try to answer any questions anybody else has other than that.
Any questions for?
One last thing, I apologize. You may have said it during your announcements, so I apologize. The town buildings are closed on Thursday for Juneteenth. So please keep that in mind if you're looking to do some business with the town. But we'll be reopened during normal business hours on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Any questions for Keith? All right. Selectmen's comments. Kim, do you have anything?
Just a couple of things for the next agenda. We had received a potential policy for consideration on the tax title process. We were going to do that, I thought, tonight, but maybe because you weren't here, we waited. So I don't know if we want to put that on the next agenda, if we have room for it.
Could I comment on that
Yeah.
real quick?
Yeah.
So when we had left, I had asked, or I thought that the decision was that the tax title custodian, Mr. Pike is the former tax title custodian, and the current, and the, I guess, the most recent tax title custodian, our current treasurer collector, we're gonna sit down and work through and try to put a policy together. Because of end of year things, the opening of the assistant treasurer position, that meeting hasn't been scheduled. I asked the treasurer this morning to reach out to the tax title custodian and Mr. Pike to find a time, probably sometime in later July, that we can sit down and they can sit down and try to work through what was discussed at the board meeting and bring something more concrete forward as soon as they possibly could. But the challenge, frankly, is hours in the day with the opening and the end of the year. And my understanding is the state legislature is considering passing something. The board, Ken sent something out to the board today about changes in our insurance rates, interest rates that were charged, which may have an impact on that as well. So
I think my understanding is slightly different, so maybe we can clear that up. But I thought that, so Carl was the representative going to work with the current tax title custodian and the treasurer. But aside from that, we were trying to create at least a shell of this is the process we're going to follow. And I thought Carl's feedback was it was a little too
In fact,
detailed.
what I've done is I can actually hand out copies. I actually went through the policy procedure and made my 8 or 10 minor suggestions for the rest of you to take a look at.
Which was more about like the tax title properties get confirmed that they are available for auction. Then it goes to, who knows, department head meeting, then it goes before the board, and then it goes to an auction, or something like that.
Right.
Just so that it's clear of what the process
So
is.
I've got that, and I've also gone through the listing of properties that he was concerned that he could not find, that we had the proper documentation.
The 18 parcels?
Yeah. Now, I have not gotten into the files here, but my intent was to go in and make sure that these weren't in there, the files that he just doesn't know exist.
Right.
Because remember, I had Ken Stevens do some work, and I think that some of those might be there. But I would agree with Keith that, if we defer this for another month or thereabouts, except for if you want to put the policy and procedure on the agenda for next meeting, and to approve that's fine from my point of view.
I just thought they were two separate things, like the squaring up of the parcels was one piece of it, but having an overall policy that we're all kind of on the same page. This is the process we would like to see. If we need to wait, I didn't think we needed to wait for state law because that's kind of a separate piece of the puzzle.
I would agree that the process policy can stand by itself.
Okay.
we'll put it on the July 1st agenda.
Okay.
Sounds good.
And then I just wanted to let you guys know, I did go to the Plymouth County Advisory meeting and the Executive Board meeting. It's not on the agenda for tonight, so if you have questions, we can put it on to another one. But we just, as an overview, we reviewed the revenues comparing fiscal year 22 to fiscal year 26 for the county. Overall, the fiscal year 26 is the least high budget of all of those. So, and part of that is a reflection of the loss in revenue, less transactions happening, less revenue, so the budget has to go down. And there was discussion of the pond management program. So right now, there are 4 communities who have said, yes, we want to participate in a pond management program, probably more aptly named water management program because they actually found out that they can, the county could potentially get some of the chemicals that we use in water treatment facilities at a bulk price and work with communities in the county to lower that expense for water departments. So the homework for all of us is to try to get more of the 27 communities on board with joining the program because we are one of the 4, Kingston is, but they need more buy-in in order to make it a viable program. That was pretty much it I had from Plymouth County. I just wanted to let you guys know.
Any other comments from you guys?
I'm good.
All right, Don, do you have anything you want to say?
The only quick thing I would note is, Keith, if there's any questions you have or if there's any specific information you want me to gather before our next meeting for the Do Not Knock registry, just let me know.
Thank you, I will.
Before you stop. Sorry, we, Mr. Pike, myself, and Mr. Hickey all went to the school building tour last night with school committee members, members of finance committees, capital planning. I'm sure I'm missing some. We looked at the administration building, the middle school and the high school, and reviewed their capital needs for the region. They're working on prioritizing that scope. It is a large dollar number, so they're trying to prioritize the projects at the schools and figure out how we need to approach that. So now I'm done.
Thank you. All right, our next regular meeting is July 1st. After that is July 15th, and I am on vacation that week, July 15th. So you can assign everything to me that week.
Perfect.
While I'm not here to.
Vote you in for everything.
Right.
Or just vote on everything we think he would vote one way, so we
There you
vote
go.
the other way.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in
Second.
favor, Eric, aye.
Tim, aye.
Missy, aye.
Carl, I.
Don, I.
All right, we are
7:45
officially
PM.
adjourned. Thank you.